So I realized we haven't given you guys an inside look at our inventory in quite a while. And I would say over the past 60 days, we've had so many moving pieces, so many cars selling, so many new cars that we bought and projects that we're finishing at the same time. And I'm really proud of a few cars, or just some interesting cars that tell a great story, and would love to share some of those details. I'm standing next to a car. I've talked about this for so long as just being undervalued. Ferrari 512M, and this isn't just any 512M, this is one of the 75 numbered US cars. Now, the biggest way to tell the difference between a US car is obviously these side marker lights here, and then the other major difference is the plaque. When you open that radio, you'll see there's a little cover, and there's a really cool plaque from Ferrari that has the number. This is car number 66, 11,000 miles. I think this is a pending sale, and it's actually rare to see a US car with narrow interior. Most of them came Rosso Corsa on tan. Next is a very cool project that we're so close to be finished with. I'm just gonna give you guys a sneak peek. This is the famous Gemballa that we've been restoring for a while. This is what is believed to be one of 13 Gemballa Avalanches produced in period. The Gemballa Avalanche was the turbo. A few, I would say, we believe 6 or 7 actually came with the roof BTR engine. This is one of those cars. This car was actually delivered to a drug dealer in 1987. There's some crazy stories about this car. This car stayed in the US for a long time. And at some point in its life, we found incredible period photos of this car. I'll have Sergio put those on the screen. And we realized that the interior had been changed. Now, whoever did it did a great job, but we've spent 6 months, maybe 7 months, basically bringing the interior back to the way it was new, which was pearl white leather. Now, we had this leather made. If you guys look, we had all of this stitching reproduced. Kenneth Michaels, an incredible artisan that we work with, even did all of the logos new. So all of the features that you would see. Now, I'm gonna be very careful here. The carpet's original, the seatbelt's original. This car, look, all of the shift knob, the seatbelt. I mean, that was the cool part about Gemballa. Look at this, this is the rear cabin. So everything was done in pearl white leather, the exact way it would have been in 1987. We've spent a lot of time and energy into this car. The correct wheels now are on the car, the correct tires, the correct 6-pipe exhaust. We actually had this remade. So there's a few little details left, but these cars just are such a cool coach-built sort of tuner piece of automotive history, and I'm so excited to get this car finished. We're gonna do a very cool photo shoot. Next is one of my all-time favorites here. This is a car that we sold about 2 years ago. It's just here for a few little details that we need to fix. This is the famous Diablo SE30 Paris Auto Show car. Now, this is the only Diablo ever produced in verde metallizato. This was also used for press. I fell in love with this car the first time I saw it in the Lamborghini yearbook. There's a great photo of this car. And at the time, this car actually had a bare carbon fiber wing. At some point, the wing was painted to match the car. I believe that was actually before delivery, but you could see here on its plaque, it says Salon de Paris, which is obviously Salon, the Paris Salon, car number 55. And this car was produced as part of Lamborghini's sort of bespoke program. They wanted to show people and potential VIP clients that they could do interesting things like this car. Sabia Alcantara interior. And then a very cool feature is they kept the blue Alcantara steering wheel cover, which is very unique. And again, a fantastic car, low mileage car. I would do anything to buy this car back, and we are gonna try. But this is just such a piece of history. And again, it's an SE30, which you guys know I absolutely love. Next to us here is such a great car. I think these cars are so undervalued for what they are today. One of 32 factory VIN numbers for a Diablo SVR that was produced. Now, if you don't know anything about Diablo SVRs, they were produced as a one spec series, basically to race gentleman drivers, some novice drivers, some really professional drivers. That was organized by Stefan Rattel. Now, if you don't know about Stefan Rattel, the Stefan Rattel organization also organized the BPR GT FIA series. So the famous, F40 GTE cars and McLaren F1 GTRs raced in that series, and he was also organizing this series for Lamborghini. It was called the Supersport Trophy. It was basically the factory produced these cars, and then they were leased to a company called Lease Plan, and then the end user, the VIP clients, could basically lease these cars. Now, these cars were built on Diablo SV chassis. So what's cool is they have a full VIN number, and what was changed on them we'll go through very quickly. I'm not gonna go through all the details. The front bumper essentially stayed the same. You had the tow hook. We actually have to add back the original SV graphics. There'd be a satin black graphic here. The headlights were removed for these headlight buckets that connect to the brake duct in here. This is actually incorrect. This whole bucket should be a satin black. We are gonna fix that on this car. And then obviously inside the front trunk, everything was removed. The AC system was removed. The windows, these are factory Lexan windows with the mirrors that basically have this ventilation system. Now what's cool is it's the same, if you look at this, it's the same vent as a normal Diablo AC vent, but now just hooked up to the mirror, a factory roll cage, a unique factory steering wheel, and unique factory OMP racing seats. These are the original seats, original steering wheel, which is very nice to see, and we'll talk about that as well. The side skirts on the car were also unique to SVR. The rear hood was essentially a unique hood. The later SVs were actually a different way that they were functional. If you look at the SVR hood, it's slightly different, as you can see. And then this logo here. Now that is factory, very rare. That only came on the Diablo SVRs. I tried to buy one once and they're like $2,000 or $3,000. This is a factory SVR wing. If you look, carbon fiber wing that was mounted, same sort of mounting holes as the factory cars. And then the rear, this is where you see a lot of the differences. You have obviously the air suspension, 4-post. You have the SVR exhaust. They were basically fully straight exhaust that came back, and then you had this stunning carbon diffuser and this side canard right there. The grille was different. This is one of the original SVR badges. On this car, so you know this is actually wrong. They never had a bull there. And then they had, like, similar to the SV, these black surrounds. So the rear is almost completely different. I love these cars because they really represent a car, a race car that you could actually drive on the street. Many of these cars, once they were finished racing during the series, a lot of the drivers actually converted them back to road use. So they put the AC back in, they put functional windows back in. A lot of the cars, they lost their wing, they lost their rear diffuser. This is a cool car that spent its life in Japan and was basically converted, I would say, semi back to road use. There's AC back in it, but essentially all of the racing features are still here. I think these cars are so rare, so unique. And when you think about a factory-built race car that you could drive on the street, I think these trade anywhere today between $475,000 and $600,000, $650,000. I've seen some asking prices, and this is just a piece of history. So we actually have two other Diablos here available right now. We have a stunning yellow Diablo SV that recently came in, and another Rosso Black SV. This, as you guys know, we love Murcielago manuals, and at one point, I would say late last year, we had 6 or 7 cars. We had 2 Roadsters, 2 or 3 coupes, another LP640 coupe, and astonishingly, they've all sold. This is one of the last cars that we have available. This car is actually on consignment. We don't always do consignment, but we do consignment when something is just so good. This is a very rare 04 manual. And the reason that makes this rare is in 04, this is when the E-Gear was introduced to the Murcielago lineup. So most of the Murcielagos in 2004 were E-Gear. And actually, I believe it was only like 16 or so cars were built for 04 with a manual for the US market. And this is one of the greatest colors, the Arancio, the metallic Arancio, very low mileage car. And then I am absolutely gonna miss this car. I don't think we've talked about this car enough. You guys saw it. If you go back to one of our YouTube videos, you saw it when it arrived. This just sold, and I am so happy for the next owner. This is probably the best condition SE30 I've ever seen. This was a one-owner car. We showed this year at the Quail. Swiss car its entire life, 1,200 original miles. I'm gonna miss this car. A lot of people are gonna regret they didn't buy this. And this is so cool. We're standing next to a downdraft that we just brought out of Europe, a Countach 25th anniversary downdraft. We've talked about a downdraft. That is the carbureted FIA Group B certified engine. It came in probably 400, 500 Countaches in the world from 1985 until 1990, but that's the big horsepower, 475 horsepower, something like that. What's so cool about this car, you don't see this often, is it has the factory race seats. These were an option for anniversaries. Anniversaries had the common electrical seat that would move forward and back. This is the bucket. It's probably made for someone that's very slender, but it's so cool to see. You just never see this. And this car, we believe this could be from the factory. We've spoken to the last two owners, has red centers in the wheels, so we have to determine that. We don't know that for a fact, but very cool car that we just bought out of Europe. And then, I think we briefly showed this. We're excited to have this back in inventory in our showroom. We had RENNTech restoring this car. This is our SL60 with complete original wood package with the original Panasonic TV in the dash. This car is just so cool to see, and these cars are so rare, and I just think these are still undervalued when you think of AMG prices. We just sold a 560 6-liter SEC wide body. Now this actual car, a lower mileage car, I don't know if you guys remember that car. That car just traded at 760,000 plus. So imagine these really significant V8 6-liter AMGs, or these V8 modified AMGs, are just really desirable and very popular now. So don't worry, we have a ton more behind the scenes content coming. I just was way too excited to share with you guys some of the really interesting cars today in the showroom. Not to forget the Carrera GT or anything else like that, but there's a few gems here. Very special stuff coming. Some of the first testing of the C1000 low tech coming very soon. Our own John Hooper is finishing that car up and is gonna take you guys on a ride.